Hello everyone, and welcome back to the next installment of our 9.1 raid guides. This is Crzypck from Complexity Limit, and today we're going to show you how to defeat Sylvanas Windrunner in the Sanctum of Domination on Heroic mode. For starters, this is a long ass fight. It's 3 stages, plus an intermission between stages 1 and 2, and the encounter as a whole can last 14 minutes. You'll start at the top of Torghast and fight Sylvanas. At 84%, she'll become immune to damage and do a short intermission, where she'll try really hard to kill you, then she'll fly away. You'll get ported to a series of platforms and chains, following Sylvanas along the platforms. After going across 7 different platforms, you'll then be ported to the Covenant Throne Room in Oribos and finish out the encounter there. For stage 1, you'll want to tank the boss near the middle of the room with a raid loosely spread around her. Lust on pull. You'll get a second bloodlust later on in the fight. Try not to be too clumped up this phase. She'll periodically put both an arrow and a purple swirly on the tank called Wailing Arrow, then shoot an arrow at that tank. You'll want the tank to run to the edge of the platform with this. It'll deal mild damage to that tank, but heavy AoE damage to the raid, reduced by distance. If you get to the edge, it won't kill anyone. When she casts Domination Chains, a bunch of purple swirlies will appear around the room and then explode shortly after. Don't get hit by this. Once the explosions happen, several of those swirlies will leave behind a large Domination arrow in the floor, each of which will be chained to a random player and then pull that random player towards the arrow. The strength of this pull will get stronger every second, and if you get pulled into the arrow, you die. Fortunately, these all have a health pool, so your raid should immediately swap and blow them up. When Sylvanas casts Bale of Darkness, she'll make a large circle on the ground, move out of this. As she shoots the tank, she'll build up charges of Ranger's Heartseeker. At 3 stacks, she'll shoot 3 quick succession arrows at the tank, dealing heavy physical and shadow damage. Your tank will want to pop a cooldown here. Make sure that you survive it. Sylvanas' signature ability during stage 1 is Windrunner. She'll basically start flying around the platform, landing briefly and just kind of bouncing all over the place. While doing this, she's got 3 mechanics going on. Shadow Dagger will throw daggers in a frontal cone. Not really much you can do about this other than loosely spread out. It'll deal damage to you and put a small dot on you. Withering Fire just shoots a bunch of people for mild damage with not really any counterplay at all. And then she'll also put down various formations of small swirlies. Someone seems like they had a lot of fun designing these shapes. But they are still just basic swirlies, so don't stand in them, they're bad. Basically dodge the bad things and nuke Sylvanas. Once you get her to 84%, you'll push into the intermission. At the start of the intermission, Sylvanas will cast Domination Arrow, and every single player in the raid will be chained to an arrow. You should have the entire raid stack in the center of the room as the boss is about to push into the intermission, so that these arrows are as grouped up as possible. As soon as the arrows themselves appear, use a Warlock Gateway to get away from the middle, and then AoE down the arrows as quickly as possible. After casting Domination Arrow, Sylvanas will cast Rive 8 times in a row. This will put a line on the ground across the platform, then shoot a missile across that line. Anybody hit, dies. It'll also throw swirlies along the sides of the line, don't stand in those either. She'll be moving around the platform and shooting Rive at various angles, so watch your feet and keep yourself alive. After 8 casts, she'll then cast Banshee Wail, putting small circles on everybody in the raid. Just spread out with these so you aren't overlapping and they're not really that big of a deal. Once Banshee Wail ends, you'll get a 30-second cutscene. When that's over, you'll appear on a platform marking the beginning of stage 2. Here, you'll be progressing a gauntlet of 7 platforms total, chasing Sylvanas. When you finish a platform, either Jaina or Thrall will create a bridge to the next one. Let's go through this phase platform by platform. On platform 1, you don't do anything except run to the edge and wait for the bridge to platform 2. While on this bridge, Sylvanas will cast Haunting Wave, which sends out little semicircles of death in every direction. Don't get hit by these, they'll knock you back and apply a really nasty dot. She'll do this twice as you're moving along the bridge. Once you get onto platform 2, you'll just keep running after Sylvanas. She'll jump away and you'll follow her down the bridge to platform 3. More Haunting Waves to dodge, don't get hit. On platform 3, you'll actually get to fight Sylvanas and DPS her for about 40 seconds. As you approach, she'll be casting Ruin. You must interrupt this or the raid wipes. 20 seconds after you start fighting her, she'll cast Bale of Darkness. It's very similar to stage 1, but this time it's several smaller circles instead of one large one. You still need to move out of it though. After another 20 seconds, she'll cast Banshee Wail. Make sure to spread out for this. After the wail, she'll jump away, and you'll run down another bridge chasing her onto platform 4. There will be more Haunting Waves here to dodge, so watch your feet. On platform 4, you're greeted by a wave of adds. There's some small Moss Sworn adds that just need to be blown up, and 2 larger Maw Forged adds. These are much more powerful enemies with important mechanics that you'll have to worry about. On this specific platform, you'll get a Maw-Forged Goliath and a Maw-Forged Soul Judge. The Goliath gets a stacking debuff every time he smacks the same tank in a row, forcing regular tank swaps. The Soul Judge does a tank smack and puts Crushing Dread on several players. This functions as a dot that increases damage per tick but is dispellable. Unfortunately, dispelling it doesn't remove it completely, it just makes it bounce to another player. These debuffs will persist until the Soul Judge is killed. As such, on this fourth platform, you want to AoE everything down, cleaving off the Soul Judge. Blow everything up as quickly as possible. Once everything is dead, a new bridge forms and you'll move over into platform 5. Here, you'll get another wave of ads, including several Maw-Sworn smaller ads, another Goliath, and a Maw-Forged Summoner. These guys are actually kind of dangerous. They'll spawn 4 decrepit orbs, which are killable floating balls. Every 6 seconds, their damage is increased by 50%. They don't actually do any damage until either they die or their very long cast completes, at which time they'll each deal 4,000 shadow damage to the entire raid, modified by however many stacks they've accumulated. As such, you want to kill these off as quickly as possible. Kill 2, wait a couple seconds for the healers to stabilize you, then kill the other 2. The summoner will also put out a curse on several people that needs to be healed through, but this can be decursed to be removed. Tell your mages to stop casting for just a second and save your raiders. Once you've killed this wave of ads, yet another bridge, this time leading to platform 6. This one is the most difficult platform. You'll have a wave of Maw-Sworn ads, a summoner, and a Soul Judge. You should use 2-minute DPS cooldowns here and a healer cooldown or 2 during this platform, as it's the most dangerous one and the most likely for you to die. Blow up the orbs as soon as possible after they spawn. It's absolutely worthwhile to use a healing cooldown as the orbs explode, just to make sure nobody falls over. After the orbs, DPS should finish off their ads themselves as quickly as possible. Once you do, a final bridge appears and you move on to platform 7. As you approach this platform, Sylvanas will again be casting Ruin, which needs to be interrupted again. From that point, you'll have about 45 seconds of DPS time. She'll cast a Haunting Wave that you'll need to dodge, then a Bale of Darkness to stay out of, then a Banshee Wail to spread. After about 45 seconds, she'll then fly away and you'll get ported to Oribos, marking the start of stage 3. Ideally, by this point, you want the boss below 75% health. The lower she is, the better. For stage 3 here, you'll be fighting Sylvanas in the Covenant Leader area of Oribos with 4 square platforms to use. Walking off the edge of a platform will launch you onto the next one over in that direction. This platform hopping mechanic is something you'll be doing a lot of throughout this stage. We recommend everyone use 2 and 3 minute DPS cooldowns at the very beginning of stage 3, as this timing allows them to be up for the final burn, which we'll get to in a little bit. Here, the primary mechanics mostly revolve around Banshee's Bane, which is a debuff applied in a few ways. This is dispellable, and when dispelled, each stack of the debuff will leave a puddle on the floor. Running over a puddle makes you pick it up, giving you a stack of the debuff. There's a couple of ways for these debuffs or puddles to be created. First, Sylvanas' Bane arrows will shoot several arrows around each of the 4 platforms. Each arrow creates a little swirly, which then gets hit by an arrow, creates a puddle. Banshee's Heartseeker is very much like the Ranger's Heartseeker from stage 1. The boss will build up to 3 stacks, then shoot 3 arrows back to back quickly into the tank. Each one of these will apply a stack of Banshee's Bane to the tank. The boss will also periodically cast Banshee's Fury, dealing a large amount of damage to the raid over 4 seconds. At the end of this, all stacks of Banshee's Bane still on players explode, causing those players to take an extra pretty large chunk of damage. As a note, the puddles do not have a duration, they'll persist until they're run over and picked up or for the remainder of the encounter. Managing these debuffs and puddles properly through stage 3 is vital to your success. We'll get into it in just a little bit. There's a few other abilities to be aware of during this stage. Wailing Arrows here again, similar to stage 1. This time though, it'll target 2 or 3 people and shoot an arrow at each of them a few seconds apart. Bale of Darkness is smaller circles just like in stage 2 that you'll have to avoid, but this time targeted directly at random players. Banshee's Scream will put the little circles on the entire raid again, forcing you to spread when she casts it. Shadow Dagger will put several lines on the floor, shooting outwards from Sylvanas herself, then throwing daggers down the lines. Being hit does a boatload of damage, so you'll need to dodge the lines. Okay, so let's get into how all of this works together. When Sylvanas casts Bane Arrow, Your tank should run and pick up every single puddle on your current platform. While the tank is doing this, Sylvanas will cast Banshee's Heartseeker, so that tank will need to pop a cooldown to survive. Tank should collect all the puddles, then run into a corner and call for a Dispel. This will drop all of the stacks off of the tank and create puddles very tightly grouped up in that corner. Immediately after the Heartseeker finishes, the raid should spread, and then she'll cast Bale of Shadows. This is targeted at 2 random players here, so spread at least 6 yards away so nobody gets hit. This is then followed by Shadow Daggers, so dodge the lines. Then the next time the boss casts Ranger's Heartseeker, the tank should run right to the edge of where the old puddles are and call for a Dispel immediately, dropping the 3 new puddles over there on that side. Then the boss will cast Banshee's Fury. Everybody should stack under the boss, and you should pop a raid healing cooldown to keep everyone stable. This will be followed by Wailing Arrow. To handle this, the targets should jump across to the next platform counterclockwise, wait for the arrow to hit them, and then jump back to the current platform. As that person is jumping back, the next Wailing Arrow target does exactly the same thing, and then you repeat this a 3rd time for the final Wailing Arrow. By having the arrow hit someone on a different platform, it really helps to minimize the raid's damage taken from the AoE component. As a note here, the tank will always be one of the Wailing Arrow targets. When the tank jumps to the next platform for the Wailing Arrow to hit them, they should also run around and pick up every single puddle on that platform, get all the debuffs, and bring them back to your current platform. Now, it sounds a little counterintuitive. Why would you want to add more puddles to the platform that you're currently on? But we'll get to that in a second. Following the Wailing Arrow, Sylvanas will cast Raise. This basically covers the entire platform in death, and you need to jump off the platform before this cast completes or you die. Even if it doesn't immediately kill you, it prevents you from using the jump to reach another platform, and so you're trapped and you die anyway. As such, any puddles that you bring onto a platform being hit with Raise are essentially permanently removed from the fight because you'll never go back to that platform again. So, if you have your tank that got Wailing Arrow, go and pick up all the puddles from the platform everyone's about to go to, bring them back to the platform about to be hit by Raise, and get dispelled, well, those puddles are going to stay on this platform and pretty much be removed from the fight. You're never going back to that platform, so those puddles never come into play again. While the tank is working on all of that, everybody else should be jumping counterclockwise to the freshly cleared new platform. Once you land, the boss will cast a Banshee Wail, forcing you to spread out, then a Bale of Darkness, also causing you to stay spread out. After that, it's basically just repeating the first platform multiple times. You'll handle everything as you already did, and then rinse and repeat, going to platform 3, and then later platform 4. The 4th Raise cast, the one that happens on platform 4, is essentially an enrage for the fight. If you don't get Sylvanas to 50% health by the time that 4th Raise is cast, you lose. The total time you'll have to do this is about 1 minute and 12 seconds per platform in Stage 3, so just around 4 minutes and 50 seconds total. This can be super tight damage-wise, so do everything you can to maximize damage throughout the phase. To this end, we recommend using your 2nd Bloodlust on the 4th platform, as that should line up as a little over 3 minutes after you use them on platform 1, meaning all of your raid's cooldowns should be up for that. Nuke her as hard as you can, and GG's, congrats on your ahead of the curve. You've defeated the Banshee Queen. If you enjoyed this guide, remember to like it and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to catch all of our previews, guides, kill videos, and more. From the team here at Complexity Limit, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.